So liquid food coloring here and paste food coloring here. If you are doing black or red, you really have to use this. Okay, we don't have any liquid black food coloring, and red just comes out. So adding a lot of liquid to your fondant is going to affect the texture of it. It's going to make it softer, so we want to not do that. Unfortunately, when I put these in the proofer, it melted some of the labels, so I'm not 100% sure if I'm using my one or not. In fact, I'm pretty sure I'm not because it looks really hard. Anyway, I think I'll need about 1/3 to cover this cake, so that's what I'm going to do. You can see it's pretty hard right now. What I could do is put it in the microwave for a second, but I have to be really, really careful putting it in the microwave because you can get burned. Okay, severe burns can happen. With that food coloring, especially the liquid, but even the paste as well, I'm going to get it on my hands. So if you're really, really concerned about that, you can wear gloves. What you're going to do is kind of mix it into your fondant. Oh, this fondant is very stiff. You can knead it in like I'm doing for a little bit, but I find the best way to do it is to twist. Okay, when you want to start rolling out your fondant, you have to make sure that it's very smooth and well mixed together and not messy. If you try to roll it out when it's all folded up and terrible, it's going to look that way when you roll it out as well. So because my dummy is this big, I need my circle to be at least as big as the top and the sides of this. This is 6 inches. This is 2 inches, so altogether it's going to be... Really, guys? 6 plus 2 plus 2. Somebody? That's 10 inches. Good. I'm glad to see you guys are not missing out on math. They forget to teach you that in your functions classes. To remind you how to do like basic math. Okay, so is this even 10 inches? Probably not. 10 inches is how many centimeters? It would be too much to ask, right? It's times 2.5, so it will be 25. So this is 30 centimeters this way. So that's a good indication to me that if I cover the mat, it will be the right size. Okay, icing sugar underneath, icing sugar on top. Not too much, not too little. You roll it this way, turn it this way, or else just keep it in the same place. Diagonal, diagonal. See, it's still round. One way, the other way, diagonal, diagonal. You know how I can tell that it's not sticking? It's moving. It's moving, thank you. If it starts to feel like you're stretching it, then you know it's sticking. But in any case, you should always be able to figure out whether it is or not because you're moving it around. Okay, so I've hit almost the end of the mat here, which means that I'm probably getting big enough. Don't want it to be overly huge because then it will be difficult for me to work with. Okay, one of the more annoying things about using the dummy is we're going to have to cover it with shortening in order for this stuff to stick to it. The reason why we use shortening is because we want to also be able to remove it later. It's kind of more difficult because when you're icing a cake or a dummy, it's heavy and it will stay in place. This will not, so you have to kind of do it in midair. It's got to all be lightly covered in it with no lumps. Styrofoam. Now, to place this on top, there's a variety of ways I could do it. One way is by rolling it around the rolling pin like this, and placing it on. If your fondant is very crusty, that's especially a good way. if you, I find that one way that works well if your fondant is fine is to fold it in half or in quarters, and then you can position it on your cake more easily because you can see where the half mark should be. Place it on top, move outwards with your hands so that you know that there aren't any air bubbles moving from the center outways. And I need a turntable. Autumn, can you get me one, please? We have to move from the top down when we're flattening it out. You can't just do one side at once, you have to do all sides evenly, or else you will have problems getting rid of the wrinkles here. So it's easier to do with a turntable because you can turn it at the same time. Thank you. So I can smooth it out on each side a little bit and turn it around, flaring it out as I do so that I don't get any bulgy patches or folds, which you guys are going to find is quite a challenge when you're doing it for the first time. Especially the bigger your cake is, the more difficult it is. Going down, 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 opening up these folds. Huh?
Are you just going to be like, oh, okay, you know what to do for this?
What? You can't see it? Why not?
You can't see your thumbs.
Oh, you can't see my fingers.
Yeah.
I see, because my fingers are in the wrong place. Okay. Thank you, I understand what you're trying to tell me now. Okay. So,
Oh, yeah.
as you guys can probably imagine, if you have your fondant really, really large, it can be more difficult. So you might want to, trim it off if it's like that. You don't want to put fingerprints in here, because then you will see it. It's really obvious and it looks dirty and terrible. And I'm about to do a little trimming with a big knife because I don't have a small one, but it would be easier to use a small knife. I'm just going to cut it like this so that I can then fix the edge nicely afterwards. You could do this with a scraper or with anything else as well. So then I can trim a little bit more. Almost everybody's going to have to do this with their cake, and then you'll be adding other stuff on top. So that's the basic thing. During this activity, one of the main things I put in the rubric for marks is about keeping your resources not wasted. Okay. Therefore, things like this, you're immediately going to roll it up again, so that you can reuse it. Wrap it up. If you don't use it, somebody else might use it. We might use it for something else, for our display case or whatever. So make sure everything is kept sealed at all times. Okay, sealed up, ready to go.